Hello, this is Shalimar Steinberg, and today I am talking about how we use layout tabs in our paperspace. And as we've seen before in our PS-A title block, we have a layout tab in paperspace which is set up for an A-size piece of paper, which is our 8.5 by 11. And in drafting, the next size up from this would be a B-size piece of paper. So to this title block, we are now going to add a tab, which is going to have a new layout that is going to create a B-sized title block. There's a step-by-step video for that in the assignments, but I want to talk about basically how we manage layout tabs in general first. So this is from an old chapter from a book that is still pretty current. We're only going to look at the first half today. We'll look at the second half on Friday when we do some viewport practice. So AutoCAD has the two distinctive drawing environments, model space and paperspace. When paperspace is the active environment, the default icon will be like this. When model space is active, it should be like this, and that's just showing you your X and Y's. And when we do a layout tab, what we're doing is creating a paperspace specifically at a size that we have set. So it's a paper that we could print out onto. So each tab in one drawing can be scaled to different sizes so that you could print the same thing that you drew in model space out on an A-size piece of paper or a B-size or a C-size or a, D or E, whatever you need to do in order to fit your objects. Now on that paperspace, you can have either just one big rectangular viewport, or you can have multiple viewports, such as this one, where you have one large one to show the entire drawing, and then several small ones that show specific areas in more detail at a different scale. So we will look more at having multiple viewports on Friday as well. So today we're mainly talking about just creating one large rectangular viewport. When we select the page setup details for our layout tab, that's where we can select what size paper we're going to use and whether we want it to print the entire layout, etc. So in AutoCAD, I will show you how to do that. This is what the screen is going to look like. Your assignment will tell you exactly what settings to pick on here, but I will also show you right now kind of how the default of that is. So we already have our A-sized layout tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right here and we're going to say new layout tab with the plus. We're immediately going to right click and rename it, and we're going to name it Paperspace B template and hit enter. Now if we look at our Paperspace A, we can right click and see the page setup manager. And we see that it's set right now for the 8.5 by 11 inch paper. And if we were to go to modify, we could look at all the other settings. So this is where you would choose what printer you're going to print out on. If you are somewhere that doesn't have access to a printer, or you don't know what printer you're going to use, we're just going to save to the default for AutoCAD, which is going to be the PDF general documentation. And this will give us access to all the different sizes of paper that we can use. And we would scroll down for the B-sized here to where it says ANSI B. And if we want the landscape version, we'd do 11 by 17 inches, and then make sure that it says landscape over here. And we'd also leave this set to layout so that it would plot correctly. We also want the monochrome style, which is just a black and white. And we want it to plot object line weights. That means it's going to print out those line thicknesses that you've set in your layers. And we can preview what it would look like, which shows us the bigger paper. Right now it's showing us that title block, but we'll be moving that off of it. So we aren't actually going to change the A-sized one. We're going to cancel out of that. And for the assignment, what you'd be doing is going into this B-sized one, selecting it. The first thing you're going to do is delete the existing viewport, because we're going to draw one in later at a specific size, and you can't have two in the same place or they will conflict with each other. So we'll delete that one for now, and then you can right click and go into your page setup manager, make sure it's on the one that says B, and you would go to modify and make your changes. Based on what your printer can handle and what size you need. So it's only ever going to show you ones that your specific printer is able to print the size of. So be aware of that as well. So we'll say OK and close. Now we have the correct sized layout tab, and we can go ahead and draw in our new title block, which is in a separate video of step-by-step instructions for the assignment. So we'll look back here, and this just walks you through those same steps that I just showed you. And then it talks about viewports. So when it gets to the point of actually creating the viewport in our drawing, what we're doing is creating that window that shows us the model space. And so you can create three kinds. There's a single rectangular viewport, a polygonal viewport where you draw a polyline in an irregular shape and turn it into a viewport, or using an object that you've already created, like a polyline, circle, ellipse, or a closed region or spline that you've drawn, and turning that into a viewport. And then there's a final option where you can look at the display or the viewports dialog box, and this has some rectangular combinations that you can do. So 2 vertical side-by-side ones, 3 in different permutations, and 4 equal ones, and I will show you each of those. Okay, so that's as far as we're going to go in the slideshow, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then here, the way that we can get to those viewports, we would go to the Layout tab right here, which is created as soon as you've made one of these Layout tabs. And you can see here is the drop-down for rectangular. So if I wanted to do a rectangular viewport, I would just draw a rectangle on that tab, and I've created a rectangular single viewport. I could then choose polygonal. So anything that I draw, as long as it is a closed shape, will become a viewport as soon as I hit enter. And remember, any of these can then be used to show us the model space. So if I draw something here in the model space, it will show up in those new viewports as windows that we can click into and move things around in. And I can scale them at different sizes as well. I can also turn off the grid inside the one that I have open at the moment, so the one that has the bold lines. The next option is that I could use regular draw commands to draw a closed shape. And when I do that, oh, I need to close that window first. So then I'm going to draw a circle. For example, I could draw a circle or a rectangle or an ellipse or a polygon of some kind. And then I would go to that Layout tab, and from the drop-downs choose Object. Then I select the object that I want to become a viewport, and it is now a viewport that I can scale in. If I go to the drop-down arrow here next to Layout Viewports, that's where I can access this one. And you can see I could create 2 viewports next to each other, 2 above, 3 split like this, or the opposite direction, 3 above or below, 3 vertical next to each other, 3 horizontal, or 4 equal. The important thing to know is that when you create one like this, you're going to create a box, and within that box it's going to be evenly split into the 4 possible windows. And you can click into any one of them that you want to open it as a viewport. But if you are to change the size of one of them by selecting it and moving pieces out, it only changes that one in size. It does not change the others. If you want to change all of them by the same amount, you would have to select them all together and then use a scale command or stretch or move or whatever it is that you want to do. All right, that's the basics of viewports and layouts and how they are set up. We will explore more with this on Friday, and today you'll be able to look at the assignment. Let's just go ahead and check that out really quickly here. And whoops, wrong browser, no wonder. I did have it open. Okay. If we look here, we can see that assignment. And it shows you how to create that new layout tab, what settings to set with the red arrows here. Make sure you delete that first viewport. Then on the PS border layer, you're going to draw in a rectangle. And then you're going to draw the boxes at the bottom here as part of that. you're going to create your viewport and add text in. And all of these steps are on the video that is step-by-step for this as well. All right, have a good day.